Today's subject is regarding the sheet piles. Sheet piles are the things that we are using to drive into the earth or soil so that it can retain some earth, or it can protect the earth in which we are driving the sheet piles. Like I said before in the cofferdam video, we are using there also steel sheet piles. So today we discuss in detail about sheet piles. So this is also a type of pile foundation which is driven into the earth by force. Okay, and this one, when we are driving into the earth, we have to check into the alignment, and also if there is any cracks in the sheet piles, that also need to be checked. Then only we have to drive it. And the types of, or the where the moisture content of the earth is very high, we are preferably using the sheet piles, so that this only needed there. Means there should be a depth up to which the sheet pile have to go inside, so that there should be a reasonable amount of moisture also should to be there in the earth. Otherwise we cannot drive the sheet piles into it. If there is a boulder area, we cannot drive the sheet piles into it. So that is one of the necessity. And the selection of sheet piles, that is whether the sheet piles have to be done or the other types of piling have to be done, depends upon the nature of work, the nature of building, whether it is a building for residential or commercial, or whether it is a dam or something like that. And then the required depth of piles. Like I said before, the depth will be up to a certain level only where the moisture content of the soil is there. So if it goes for if it requires a greater depth, then we cannot go for sheet piling. And then the site condition and the type of work, like I said just now. And the types of materials that we are using for sheet piles are: we can use timber as a sheet pile, or we can use RCC, reinforced cement concrete, as a sheet pile. That will be precast. And third one is the usual, it is popular, steel sheet piles. So the timber sheet piles we are using, in maybe I have seen it in Gulf area, where when we are doing digging for a septic tank. So anyway, especially in Damam area, they did the timber sheet piles before, so that the soil should not come into that area. From there, the water we have to pump it, dewater at a particular level. Every day we are taking, I think, 20 to 25 containers of water from there, so that within that time interval we can start the work of septic tank. So there also we use timber sheet piles, but these timber sheet piles are expensive because it needs treatment, and we cannot use the timber regularly. As you know, the property of timber is the hardness is very less when compared to RCC or steel sheet piles. And RCC sheet piles depends upon the nature of work we are using. It is usually the precast RCC sheets. We can take it from the factory and just drive it in the area where it is needed. That is regarding the RCC sheet piles. And steel also the same, but steel usually we used it in the banks of river, or if it is abutting a road crossing by, there also we are using the sheet piles, so that it can protect the road or the earth, it can retain the earth in it, and the water will not enter there. So there I said, when we drive the sheet piles to a required depth, the permeability of soil is also a factor. It should be driven up to a level where the soil permeability of water is very less. That is, the hardness of soil should be required enough to put the sheet piles in place, and also it should block the water to enter into the area where it is not required to enter. So that should be taken care of when we are using the steel sheet piles. And now regarding this, some of the sheet piles are temporary, like I said. When we are using it for cofferdam, it is temporary, we have to take it back. Some others, maybe if it written for a permanent structure, we can use steel structure and RCC as permanent structures. And then now we can see the different shapes of sheet piles that we are using. There are three shapes of steel sheet piles. One is, as you know, the straight sheet pile. The second is U-shape steel sheet pile, and the third is Z-shape steel sheet pile. So all these structures, that is, if it is a straight sheet pile, you can see there is an interlocking at the two sides. It is usually used for retaining walls. And U shape also, there is a interlocking thing at the two sides, so that it gets interlocked when it is being joined. And the Z type also that has the same thing. The main thing about the steel sheet pile, which becomes popular because of one reason, that is, it can, if we want a more area to cover, it can be welded, because the steel can be welded. That's why it becomes more popular. And easy to handle also is one of the thing which makes the steel sheet pile very popular. And then the methods of sheet pile driving. There are three methods by which we can drive the sheet piles into the ground. One is vibration method, and the second is pressing method, and the third is excavation method. So we will discuss the vibration method first. Vibration method is a method where we are using uh, a vibratory hammer to put the sheet pile into the ground. But the only thing that we have to take care of is that that area should not be a populated area, or where there are no people around and there is no disturbance to the people. If it is a secluded area, if it is in a desert area, then it's okay, because it makes a lot of sound, because we are using the vibratory hammer to drive the sheet pile into the ground. And second one is hydraulic. So is pressing method. Pressing method means it is just pressing, because if it is a populated area, if it is a city and we have to put the sheet pile, then we have to go for this pressing method. Pressing method have two types of hammers. That means we can make use of two hammers in it. One is diesel hammer and the other is hydraulic hammer. But the diesel hammer is not so good, and we are not using it right now much, because it has some kind of uh, environmental effect, that it creates a lot of pollution. When you are doing the diesel engine, then it creates a lot of smoke, and it is not good for the environment. So generally we are using for the hydraulic hammer for the pressing method of steel sheet piles. And the third one is the excavation method, that is usually used for RCC sheet piles. That is, prior to this putting this thing, we have to excavate the ground up to the certain level, up to the required depth, and then put this thing, put the RCC sheet pile there, and then using a Sliman slurry or bentonite, we have to stabilize the soil and cover it and make it rigid. So that's the way of putting the using the excavation method in sheet piles. So I think I have covered almost all the things related to a general outlook for the sheet piles, the types, the methods of driving the sheet piles, shape. So everything is covered. So hope you understand it well. We will meet in with a new video and a new subject. So till then, goodbye. Please subscribe, share, and like. Thank you very much.